fixed to start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother. The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares are the best part of my day.
The goods from the wood.
Hot damn!
Welcome to the Ghost from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
I am Pat Riley.
And Mr. Goodnight's on the way from a doctor's appointment, so we'll have a mid-episode pop-in from the man who is too sweet to be sour.
Yeah.
But in the meantime...
not too sweet for Medi-Cal, you understand?
Yeah, and if it's that Medi-Cal appointment, once you get that, you're like, I have to do it. I have to.
And joining us today, our very special guest from the Roast Battle and stand-up comedy, one of my favorites. Give it up for...
Anna Valenzuela!
Yes.
Yeah!
Finally. I'm
Finally.
super stoked to have you on. We've been... Had this in the works for a minute. We got to be on the intro of This Is Rad. Kyle Clark let us just take over the intro along with like 10 other comics. So.
How fun was that? Did you listen to that intro?
I did. Yeah, it was very fun.
Bro, we crushed it.
We really crushed it.
Was it as directionless as those intros tend to be?
We were right. I mean, I will give myself...
It was focused with 10 people?
I'll give myself a little credit.
You were the fearless leader.
I whipped it into shape.
What I love about those intros is Kyle and I are both really busy people, and so I'll listen to just the intro and then tap out because I feel like I'm hanging out with my buddy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that one, we all came in to read Natalie Hazen. She's starting back her podcast. Called Script Tease, and we came in to read her spec script for Bob's Burgers, which was fucking hilarious.
It was. There were several moments where we had to stop and laugh, which is such a good sign.
Yeah, and also if anybody is in the voiceover industry and is listening, for the love of God, Anna and Joe Dosh, you guys, I mean, everybody else was fine. You guys fucking murdered it. It was so good. Yeah, your Kristen Shaw is 5 stars all the way. I couldn't believe it.
Thank you. I had watched about 5 episodes of Bob's Burgers that day. I was experiencing a little bit of health issues, and so I was laying in bed just like screaming Louise just like over and over and over again. It was so fun. I had so much fun.
But so you were mentioning you went to school to study anthropology.
I did. I was an anthropology major for like 100 years. It felt like I've been to every community college in the state of California.
All right,
yeah, I can hustle that system hard.
Right, yeah, as you should.
Yeah, and
where in California are you from?
Well, I was born in San Luis Obispo, 805, and then raised in Northern California, about 40 miles from Sacramento. So if you go to Sacramento, you turn right, and then you reach 2 prisons and no teeth, and that's Ione, California.
Yeah.
It is.
Make it right at the meth lab explosion.
No, seriously. Every summer, we would make the local news because a little trailer in the middle of nowhere that was just boondocking and cooking meth just explodes.
Yeah.
And it was something to fly a helicopter over, so they always covered it. That's the only time Ione ever made the news.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, we had a few really crazy things in that town.
Did they ever capture the explosion on the news?
Yeah, sometimes you would get like just the smoldering pit that used to be a meth lab.
Yeah, because I talked about this on a previous episode where like there was the time where there was like the news was there to cover like these old people that were like harassing these swingers at a swingers house.
This is already
and doing like
this is Florida. By the way, for background.
and doing like the whole license plate sort of writing down license plate sort of thing. And this person's being interviewed in front of this, like, by the swinger house, and the house across the street just explodes because they were cooking meth in this really nice house.
That's beautiful.
Well, I mean, the place you're describing, it's something that I always say where, like, out here, particularly in LA, San Francisco, people will be like, oh, where are you from originally? Like, I'm from Alabama. And they go, oh my God, what is that like? I'm like, it's like being from Fresno or Bakersfield. It's like America.
Exactly. Okay, so
this is the weird place.
This is the weird. Okay, so LA, San Francisco, San Jose, all of those places, San Diego.
Yeah.
Good on you, coastal cities, just like, beautiful places, but they have culture, they have life, they have all kinds of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying
California's a big fucking state.
California's a gigantic state, and when the Depression happened, all these Dust Bowl Okies just got in their little cars. You can see the pictures of it. Just they head on up to California.
Yeah, that's where the Jodes were going.
That's where
was California.
Merle Haggard's family they were Okies from Muskogee. That's where the song comes from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in a town where people say y'all, where there's like stars and bars and people, the back of people's trucks.
Yeah.
We were the two Mexican people in the whole town. And
No shit. Wow.
yeah, basically me and my dad.
Wow.
So it was a really interesting place. He worked at the prison, one of the prisons out there. So
What are the two prisons out there?
Mule Creek State Prison and Preston Academy for Boys, which is like a much rumored haunted castle in California.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. And then we had they had all these like open sort of graveyards around the town where people gold rush settlers had just died. So you could like hang out in these like crazy, weird old cemeteries where they had some that were like they have fancy sort of Louisiana style above ground situations.
Whoa, that's awesome.
And then sometimes it would just be like a plank in the ground and like you could see where there used to be a name on it. And then we'd like smoke cigarettes and curse out there.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of fun.
You got to have a place to do that.
You got to have a place to do that. We didn't lock our doors because everybody in the town was a correctional officer.
Oh, okay.
So it was just like a heavily armed place.
Ironically, correctional officers don't dial 911.
Yeah. Well, plus, if you're the correctional officer in a small town, if somebody's robbing you, chances are you know them. Like, hey,
Right.
Terry, get the fuck out of... I see you. I seen you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and that's the other... Okay, so you didn't want the local police to really show up. This is a true story. Oh, my gosh, I've never shared this on a podcast. It's going to be fun.
All right.
So my parents are divorcing, and my dad was an angry thrower, so he would like pick up a thing and throw it. He threw spaghetti at me once on the plate, which was great. So it was like he was just this angry throwing kind of a person. It's a Valenzuela trait.
Okay.
I had to break myself of it. My sister did it. For
All
a
the
long
great
time.
Valenzuelas can throw well.
Exactly.
Your dad,
Exactly.
Fernando. Yeah.
So.
Does your dad look to the heavens before he throws the spaghetti?
My
Like
God,
Fernando?
I wish he would. Well, he's up there now, so it's fine. We
okay.
can talk total shit about my parents. They're super dead.
Oh no.
No, you're fine. I just bummed out a very well-dressed man, and there's something great about that. I like that you're afraid of like bumming me out. You can take that jacket off.
Oh no, you don't want to see the pit stains.
Look at that. I'm already running sweat down my armpits right now. Let's sweat together.
We have to maintain an element of decorum.
Oh my gosh, you're so dignified. You're such a professor. So,
Yeah.
my parents are arguing and doing what they're doing. My dad throws a box. My mom calls the police. And typical fun alcoholic, my mom calls the police and she was like, he has a gun. There's no gun in the house because my dad, when he was a teenager, got himself into some trouble and he got a little, he beat a kid with a tire iron. So you can't have a gun. You can't have a gun when you get those kind of charges.
Again, what's Alabama like? It's like Northern California.
It's like Northern California.
I was expecting some sort of like really like honorful thing, like MacGyver not carrying guns, like MacGyver
it's like
accidentally
Batman.
shot his friend so he doesn't carry a gun. No, it's like my dad beat somebody with a tire iron.
My
It's
dad
like,
was a badass. So at least this is the story that I know, because all of my family, they embellish and they're a little bit on the big fish scale of information delivery. So sometimes I'll tell a story and somebody will I'll get a text from a family member and they'll be like, well, I was listening to that podcast and we got to fact check this a little bit, which is weird. But this is as I know it.
We invite anybody in the Valenzuela family to tweet at us. We're at the Goods Pod. We'll issue any necessary corrections.
Hilarious. I dig this. So,
and don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.
Yeah, Valenzuelas, don't tweet at us until you rate, review, and subscribe.
Yeah, exactly.
So my mom, she calls the cops. My mom yells, "Go outside!" And by this time, I'm a sassy 12-year-old who's had about enough of their bullshit.
Yeah.
And I literally was just like, "You guys are acting like children." I march outside. I sit in the car, and one of our two police officers shows up, and he's like going around, and it's like the first time he's ever done anything cool in his life. So I can hear the Mission Impossible theme song in his head. He's just like dun dun dun. And so he comes around, and I open the door to let him know, because I don't want him to shoot my dad.
Yeah.
He is a brown person, and this is a very white town.
Yeah.
So I click open the car door and I go, "Hey, just to let you know, there's no gun inside." And the police officer whips around, full on pistol in my face, and he's
shit.
like shaking and the whole bit.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he's like, get back in the car, never surprise a police officer again. Fantastic. Goes in. They end up arresting my dad. And the funny thing about that arrest is, there was no gun in the house. But a few years later, my mom moves out to Arizona, out to Cottonwood, Arizona, which is also the middle of fucking nowhere.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I basically, if you were to map out all the cities between California and Arizona that look like a Tom Waits song sounds, that's where I was raised.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's super hammered. And she's she is day drunk. She is vodka drunk on a level that is amazing. Mm-hmm. So and she's pouring herself vodka cranberries, but
stir it with the swizzle stick sitting on the Naga high.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just like it's a light pink, barely any cranberry in these vodka cranberries.
Sitting in Cottonwood,
drink it, and so she
pop vodka in the glass.
Exactly. So this guy knocks on the door asking for a blanket, just like a weird scruffy homeless person, right? And she goes to the back. She goes, I'll get you a blanket. She goes to the back. She grabs a revolver, comes out, just unloads into a residential neighborhood. Just super drunk, doesn't hit the guy. And then the police show up. And they look at this, white lady exercising her Second Amendment rights.
Right.
Look at me and basically like shoot me a wink, like, good luck, kid. Ma'am, please don't shoot into a residential neighborhood. Sorry you felt threatened. And then they just left.
Yeah.
Which is the weirdest dichotomy of my childhood. My dad got arrested for throwing a box and not having a gun.
Yeah.
Wow.
In San Luis Obispo, where I got clean and sober I was living with my grandma. It was where my mom was from, and so I was living there, and I got my act together. Started going to community college, and I took the exam to get in when I was super high, so I had to take just remedial dumb shit classes for just like how to write a paragraph.
See, that's contrary to what I always heard from people that took like standardized tests when they were high. Like, because it's like the people I knew, it was like, yo, I took the SATs high and I had laser focus.
Well, they were not high enough.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, that's one of those like ridiculous self-perpetuating myths of users. It's like, well, I did this thing good once when I was high, so now I must be high always when I do it. So I had like, I was about to say a lot. Almost all of my friends in college, were like, I can only write papers when I'm stoned,
right?
Because they managed to pull it off once.
Yeah, so and they always follow it up with, man, Doc Ellis threw a no-hitter on LSD, man. I could knock out this English 212 paper, no sweat.
I can talk about William Blake.
Yeah.
That's
Get me enough shake, man. I can power my way through the bluest eye.
I'll tell you the difference between a lamb and a tiger. Chimney sweep of innocence, chimney sweep of experience.
Yeah.
Let's go, brother.
Oh, my soul just hurt. I work at a rehab, and just listening to all that, I was like, oh, I've heard all these excuses.
Yeah.
I just want to drug test every character in this room right now.
Stoners love they love William Blake because of the Doors.
Yeah. Oh, God damn it, the Doors. There's Moshe Kasher has this great joke about you can tell you're becoming an adult when you realize how shitty the Doors were.
See, I would actually say you realize like that in high school, and then when you become an adult is when you come back to it and you're like, that's pretty cool. Pretty fucking cool.
No, they're the inverse of Springsteen, I think. Like, they're like, there's... Yeah, but Jim Morrison was born in my hometown.
Yeah.
But there was like never a real like Jim Morrison. He was born in Melbourne, Florida, but there was no real consensus as to what house actually was his childhood house.
Yeah.
What?
So there would just be like,
it's like how in Auburn, no one's sure which house is the Captain and Tennille house.
Yeah. So like, people would have these businesses and they would like show up. And they would just be like, oh, why are there like condom wrappers and beer bottles on the ground? And it's just like, I run an architecture company. Why am I dealing with this? But it's just like people would just like come out of their houses. Why are there people like always having sex in front of my house? Until finally they had to demarc Like the city of Melbourne demarked what the Jim Morrison house was, so people would know. Okay, this is the one that you like. Drop acid in front of, and just
okay. Wait. So imagine the hippie babies that were born with the belief that they were conceived in front of Jim Morrison's house. However,
right, it was actually Ted Mulcahy, the architect.
Yeah.
Right, just some guy, just a stand, like a regular stand.
Yeah, they just
Stand.
they were impregnated in front of my friend Burke's like chiropractor place, because everyone thought Jim Morrison lived there for his first 3 years of his life.
This is not the Lizard King bungalow. This is Rex Hoffman's dentistry practice.
It was
really just put a little pup tent fuck shack in front of Jim Morrison's
charge
house.
people.
Yeah.
Like a museum fee.
Yeah.
Like just the patchouli and the cum and just the smell.
Oh God.
Just a lone dreadlock on the floor.
Yeah.
Just
a ball of dreadlocks rolling down the street like a tumbleweed.
Yeah.
I used to work at this rich kid rehab, and it's crazy because we would have like a tumbleweed of extensions that would just fall out of girls' hair in the summer. It was amazing. We'd be like sweeping up, and I'd be like, "Geez, there's a whole Lhasa Apso in here. What are we doing?"
Is that just people with like the thing where they pull the hair out?
Yeah, they used to. Thank God for the kind where they just what do? They sew it in.
Yeah.
So what would happen is anybody, women, we do this. We're like, I'm gonna cut my hair, and then we're like, oh no. Then you go and you pay like $200 and you have someone else's hair sewn into your own hair and or glued, and then you go on a real bad coke bender with daddy's credit card, and you end up in rehab. And your hair
coke dealers taking credit cards now?
They're probably doing those little cash advances.
Yeah, they got a Square.
Yeah, they
got Square. How? Oh my God,
that exists.
That exists, or like
I just imagine some just really
Bitcoin guy.
Yeah, some finicky like coke dealer just being like, "I'll take American Express. The service charges are too high.
Yeah,
too high.
Just send it to my PayPal.
Exactly.
Venmo me for this.
Venmo.
And then you just send in the little 8-ball emoji next to the next to what you're Venmoing for, or snowflake.
Yeah. And what's heroin? Just a dookie emoji or something like that. Yeah.
Something.
Spoon.
Yeah, spoon.
Spoons.
Yeah, spoons.
Yeah. Oh man.
Spoon and a fire. Spoon and fire emoji.
Isn't there a syringe one?
Is there?
I think so.
Okay. Well,
yeah, there is a syringe one for sure.
Okay.
So it's the spoon syringe as opposed to like the muscle syringe, which is when you're trying to get on the gas. Yeah.
Exactly. Having a syringe emoji, it's for practical reasons, for all the doctors that communicate in emojis.
Yeah. The people that are just like they need their insulin, but they don't want to type out insulin. They just text their.
No one is using it for insulin. I assure you.
Oh, come on. There's got to be somebody. It's like, I need my insulin.
Yeah, syringe siren.
Cookie.
There it is.
Oh man. Okay, so anthro major. I was an anthro major for a really long time, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It makes me really annoying when people want to talk to me about Jesus, because I'm like, but the bones in the ground, we've got a fossil record, guys.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. Well, and good on them. That's where the anthropology comes in handy, because then you're like, oh, you're just... Everybody's searching for meaning in some way. Yeah. Oh, I had a weird moment where it showed up at work where, I'm sure every community college kid who is either boring and searching for a personality, the witchcraft, religions, and
like Wicca and stuff.
Yeah, there's always a class where you have to take like a cultural sensitivity class, and it's always like religion, witchcraft, and something or other.
Yeah, the one that they always saw the oracles, witchcraft, and magic of the Zonde or something like that.
Something crazy. So one of my clients comes in, and she is fantastic. She's actually from Florida, but like Chicago, and her parents, like she got popped for like selling acid with her mom, and her sister's doing federal time. It's kind of amazing. So this girl is
They call them the Bonnaroo sisters.
Yeah, she looks like she was born in the fuck shack at Jim Morrison's house. Kind of amazing. So like, so she comes in, and she was like, "And I was cursed by a witch," and she's bawling. She's just bawling, and I'm like, okay, tell me all about it.
Yeah.
She's like, she goes, I was at this crystal store in Venice, and this woman like wanted to hire me to like come help her with her condo. And then she gave me a hug for like 5 minutes and was like, I'm a very powerful witch.
Oh, God.
And I was...
to paraphrase Alec Baldwin from 30 Rock, never follow someone from a crystal store to a second location.
Right. And she's just crying. And I care about her, but she believes this is her experience.
Yeah, of course.
And so I was just like, well, okay. Do you have a physical? Did she give you anything? And she goes, yeah, she gave me this slip of paper with her phone number on it. And I was like, rad. So just so you know, I'm Mexican. We all know Santeria. I can help you with this. So she hands me the phone number. We get an emergency candle. I tell her it's a prayer candle. She burns it. And we say a prayer, and she believes I've lifted her curse.
All right.
And I was like, and that's what at least 5 years of being an anthro major got me.
Yeah.
It's a girl to stop crying.
Yeah,
Those psychosomatically cure people. With,
those improv skills are definitely 4th level UCB. So, like you saved yourself. And JUCO is cheaper than UCB, honestly.
True. And you're a professor?
Lecturer.
Dr. Pat.
Dr. Pat.
Dr. Pat?
Dr. Pat.
Oh, I like that.
Literally, Dr. Pat.
Can I say this? And I mean this with all respect, as you are a married man. For sure, you have on the Rate My Professor, you have a chili.
I actually do not.
What?
At least in the state of Florida, according to the students at the state of Florida.
You're a little brown for Florida, maybe.
The community college that I taught at, not a chili pepper. I got
what?
Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna get on right when we're done from here. I still rate a professor. I will do it.
Yeah, so there's a
Dr. Pat a chili, you guys.
Yeah,
or at least tweet him a chili. How about that?
Yeah.
I always kind of stay as far away from my students as possible. I like kind of keep the veneer. Like I'm just like, hey, I'll like goof around with them, but I just am like, all right, I'm like. There's as an entity, I just am like I don't even want to know what they think, you know.
Yeah.
And then like one student was just like, "Yo, a bunch of the students want to smoke pot with you," and I'm just like, "I don't even smoke pot," It'd probably be the least exciting thing ever. It would just be me just like taking one toke and just like, "All right, I'm gonna go to sleep, guys." Just that'd be it,
Yeah.
It's not as thrilling.
Funny. Well, they like you then.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, they think
as
of
a lecturer.
You guys could go to Hotbox Jim Morrison's Fuck Wigwam.
Yeah.
That's what I've decided to call it. By the way.
Wigwam.
I forget what it is now. It's like something like it's a business of some variety, but it's like
I'm just shouting out all of the anthropological terms I know for dwellings of the plains.
No, I'm just
Fuck you sounds like a whole type of sex, like a tab on Brazzers. Is that
fuck you?
Yeah, fuck you.
I'm just a ute.
Isn't that what that's called?
A yurt, you mean?
Or a yurt?
A yurt.
Fuck ute. Is that some sort of like Joe Pesci thing or something like that?
I don't know.
No.
Hey, fuck you.
You know what I'm actually mixing up with? That is what Australians call sports utility vehicles.
A ute,
Instead of SUVs, it's like, yeah, you gotta get your ute.
You know how guys are like, oh, I have a big dick. Like I want women to be like, I have a huge ute, man. Like, I got that big ute.
Uterus.
I got my big ute, and I want to say that over and over.
Yeah,
again, 'cause
that's
it's the
good.
Funniest idea, but it goes nowhere.
Yeah, you got to claim language for yourself.
That's right.
It's empowering.
Yeah, linguistics majors would be real sad about that.
Ute.
Before I found comedy, I was all, okay, I'm going to be a occupational therapist because I started working with people with autism and we worked with an OT. And so they were like, you need to switch your major to psychology. And I took this psych class where there was a whole unit on The Secret and I wanted to burn the building down. I kept raising my hand and being like, this isn't real.
You took a class where they like...
They did a whole week unit, it was an intro to psych class and he called it positive psychology.
So he was teaching The Secret.
Yeah.
Like as a thing that you should learn.
Yeah.
Not in a critical way.
As a discipline
Was it just
psychology.
like the next week, like the mystery method or something like that?
No,
Like,
you'll love this.
okay,
Professor
next-
Ryback.
yeah.
The next week we talked about electromagnetic phenomenon and telekinesis and stuff. It was like a real. It was.
What, did you go to Hogwarts Community College? What was this?
Long Beach City College. Speaking of rate my professor, I rated him harshly.
Oh, yeah.
Harshly. Yeah, it was weird. His website had you had to download a syllabus from his website, but there was also a copy of his sci-fi screenplay.
Nice.
On the website.
Whoa.
Yes.
Did he teach in nothing but like flame shirts and stuff like that, or was
No,
he?
he was this weird Russian guy, so he had a crazy accent.
Okay.
And he did wear the kind
Magnet rings on his pinkies and stuff like that.
Oh God, I wish he did. No,
Q bracelets.
He definitely had like European guy jeans.
Yeah.
You know the ones where
Oh,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh no.
Like the
what?
Did someone sneak these over the Berlin Wall?
Yeah, and like
like the kind of the acid wash, too tight, True Religion looking pocket things.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, with like a bright colored tennis shoe. See how you're dressed right now? Very like your pocket square matches your tennis shoes.
Right.
And your jeans are not tragic. I feel like you could.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you could help him. You know?
Yeah.
But I don't think anyone can help him. I can't believe I've never been more angry in a class before, just by being in the class. And I was like working full time. This was before I ever started doing stand up, so I was like working full time, and I was really at the end of my rope.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, shout out to my friends Jerry Brandt and Chris Adams, who I did their radio show down at Long Beach Community College about 2-3 years ago. I think the show was called Drinking Buddies.
At the studio there?
Yeah, they have
it's a nice setup, right?
Yeah, it was really cool because it was in like the student union, and so we're just there, and there's like a in the grand tradition of many college radio stations, not unlike the one that I used to work at back in Alabama, the giant glass door just facing out to people in their PJ pants, like doing homework and just laying around this building or laying around the student center,
Oh, I love it.
We're in there talking shit about comedy, and there's people, cramming for a paper.
When I did college radio, it was in a dorm building next to the laundry room.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and
done
you would
stand up in a few of those.
people do some weird stuff in the laundry room. I heard people just like singing, just people like yelling at themselves. There was two, like, we heard this like banging, and there were two people having sex during our show. So we just like kind of
Snake the microphone out in the hall.
Microphone around like really like covertly like. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then I think I forget what song we played in the background. It was probably like
Let's Get It On.
like Rain and Blood by Slayer or something.
Oh,
like
okay.
that.
Went the other way.
Yeah,
Oh my God. I would have started a chant with the audience, like, make her come.
Yeah.
Make her come. And then like an applause break, like really just made it. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I want that to happen. So I'm sure it will. I've already comedy wise.
Yeah, I mean that's probably bound to happen if you like are at the Comedy Store long enough or something like that.
Somebody will
Like,
just be fucking.
Well,
yeah, exactly.
I've definitely told this story on the show before, but I was doing stand up at the Brainwash in San Francisco one night, and a naked homeless man put his junk up against the glass behind me. And I couldn't see it because it was behind me, and the whole crowd just busted out laughing. And I hadn't hit the punchline yet, so I was like, and I like turned around and I was like, all right, well, that's the dick. Good night, everybody. And I got off because I was almost out of time anyway. So I was
That's
like,
the
I can't be funnier than a guy's dick pressed against the glass.
I mean,
that's my comedy. My comedy glass ceiling is actually just a window pane with a dick smushed against it. That's as funny as I could possibly be.
Was this at a 21 and over club?
It's not a club. It's the Brainwash. It's on Folsom Street in Soma in South Market Street in San Francisco, and it's called the Brainwash, by the way, because it's in the building supposedly where the Simeonese Liberation Army took Patty Hearst after they kidnapped her from Berkeley and brainwashed her there and turned her into a machine gun toting bank robber. So now it's a laundromat / cafe bar, and then they have a comedy show there. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's the longest running open mic in San Francisco. Shout out to my man Tony Sparks if he's still there running that. And
you and your shout outs.
Tony Sparks.
Outs.
Tony Sparks will get up there, and in hindsight, when I was there, I should have gotten one, but he would always be like, to a bunch of open micers, be like, we're about to start the open mic. just a reminder, Tony Sparks t-shirts are available, and he would be selling his Tony Sparks shirts for $10.
Wow.
Yeah, Tony Sparks was
That
awesome.
sounds like an awesome gimmick to just go to open mics around Los Angeles and hawk
and
merch.
sell your t-shirts.
That like I've never seen that. That's like really
surprising.
surprising.
That so hard.
That is so surprising that I've never seen somebody just like hawking. No, GT used to do that. I take that back. Yeah, he would just be like, "Get my GT shirts. They say female booty inspector on the back," and it's just professional booty inspector because the FBI is female booty inspector, which is.
The last time I was at Flappers, because sometimes I like to go to the Flappers mic, play a game called I Refuse to Bomb, and it's real fun. It's a real fun game because it makes me be very aggressive with the crowd and kind of like really assess the room. So I'm sitting there, and GT goes up, and first off, he has jokes.
Yeah. Tell people who GT is.
GT. Okay, so GT.
GT is a phenomenon.
So I remember I actually remember seeing the first time GT ever performed stand-up comedy.
What?
Yeah. So GT. All right.
Can I ask you? Was it just like an Affliction T-shirt crawled onto stage, and then someone poured your car over it, and then he emerged just like a sentient douchebag? I'm Armenian. Yell!
Yeah. So GT. There's a man named George.
He has a name.
Yeah. So this is like
teach me.
All right. So he is
this for like 2 years.
Yeah. So the first time I see GT, this was at the Comedy Store at the Potluck back when it was 2 nights a week, and there was only 25 people signing up for it. Back before it became
2,000.
Not 2,000 like it is now.
Signing up, you ain't gonna get up anyway.
Yeah, unless you got a ridiculous name or something like
you're
that.
Dressed like you're wearing a clown nose.
Yeah. So he comes up, like creeps on. He's like. Like making bird noises. He looks kind of like the wrestler Conan a little bit, and he has like aviator sunglasses. I think he was wearing a plain white shirt. I don't think it was an Affliction shirt, but he was wearing the bejazzled jeans,
Yes.
Wow.
And he was just like he goes up there making bird noises, and he just starts out with something like, "I would rather be with a prostitute than be with some bitch at a club any day of the week because if they got AIDS or HIV," and it's just like nonsense, and it's
that is
completely like
the most bananas spot on GT impression I've ever seen.
No, because
just blew me away.
No, because I was gonna do a character at the like called Political GT, where it was just like.
Oh, you mean our president?
Yeah, no. It would just be like GT, but it was just like GT doing like commentary on political stuff.
That's so funny.
But he went up, and the audience, which was like maybe there was a lot of people for the potluck at the time, which means there was like 7 people because it used to be like nobody would show up to it. There was 7 people, and they were like mortified at what they were seeing, and then in the back. All the comics were losing their minds.
Yeah.
Jamar Neighbors rips his shirt off and starts doing a touchdown dance in the back.
Yeah.
Like he just lost his mind. And it was over, and we all just sat there like, oh my God. This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
Now the thing is
Which
that
is very Comedy Store, by the way.
Yeah, and he's been there for like 6 years, so I still see him from time to time. Now the thing is that I was. Do you remember that Kane's Arcade thing where the kid started his own arcade made out of like cardboard boxes? There was it was like an internet sort of viral thing.
No.
Okay, so he had this thing. It was like Kane's Arcade. It was this kid that wanted to have his own arcade, so he created all these games out of cardboard boxes and stuff like that. Really neat stuff. It's really cool. But I was there with my wife, and we were waiting in line to go there, and I just see this like beat up painter's van drive by, and I just look at the person driving. I was like, holy crap, it's GT. And right when I noticed that, he just turns around and pulls up next to me, gets out of the painter's van, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm here with my wife. I'm going to have to, like, shield my wife from this guy that's like, what's up, baby? Do you want to go to the club?
Oh my God.
And he was an absolute Prince. He was like very nice. He was just so like, he's like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm George. And it's just like, not to blow his cover or anything like that. But he was just
met him in the wild.
Normal.
normal but he was
GT.
just like straight up, like just, like, but there's GT. He's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde kind of. But yeah, GT was just like.
So you saw him in Flappers?
So it's obviously, okay, so GT is doing jokes and he's doing like a whole 3 minutes about pigeons. Which makes super sense because he looks like a pigeon, but like, so he's doing this, and it's brilliant. Like it's working. There's callbacks. It's working. He got the pizza spot.
That's
he
awesome.
got like a standing ovation.
Wow.
It was like watching Rudy score a touchdown. I
Nice.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that it's just like for the longest time he was like he almost took the spot in the open mic that like Boone Shock used to have, like Boone Shakalaka and other
Right.
people like that. But yeah, he took the spot as being like, okay, let's make this really weird and have people be really uncomfortable.
So Rivers did the episode of This Is Rad. Shout out to This Is Rad and all the Radsters. Barbecue episode, which I listened to all start to finish because my dad was a butcher. He was the superintendent of the meat processing plant at that before mentioned prison. So like he and before that he was a butcher at like Central Market and Williams Brothers before they closed that, and
No shit.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So like I grew up like right when they dismantled the butchers union. I was this like little kid, just kind of. I remember like going the picket lines and like my dad not working because they were dismantling the union and protesting.
When was that?
This was back in. I was born in '82, so this was in the '80s. Like I was in a stroller. I remember.
Sounds like some Reagan shit there.
Yeah, some very Reagan shit. Oh my God, California in the '80s was it was spectacular. They were like, let's dismantle all the unions and all the mental health care. And,
shout out to Pete Wilson, everybody.
yeah. Oh, even before that, Reagan to Pete Wilson to. I mean, yeah. So if you're a little terrified as to what's going to happen to our country, I will say, guys, we've already been there. We had Proposition 187 where we tried to kick out all the Mexican people, refuse social services, kids would die in the ERs, all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah.
So if you want to know what's going to happen, we're about to get real fucking liberal.
Yeah. We've already been there, and we got the dead Kennedys and straight out of Compton out of it. So.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. But so we we would sell at the county fair, and sometimes for like he's dead, so I could say it. He was a Freemason, and there was a lot of like things that we would he would do like events for and cook for tri-tip sandwiches. But it was Santa Maria style tri-tip sandwiches. So we had like an 8-foot like trailer hitched pit that we would take all oak wood barbecue. And
it's the one that has the upper, like you crank it up and so like for those of you that don't know, that aren't have never been blessed with Santa Maria barbecue, it's got this little crank on it, and it lowers and raises the grill surface over this like just pit of smoldering wood,
oak wood and coal. And so that's how you do Santa Maria style barbecue. It's dry rub. That is garlic, oregano.
Looks like this right here. I'll put this up on our Twitter. I was actually in your hometown of San Luis Obispo. I was passing.
Where's this?
This is SLO. They have a downtown street fair.
Yeah, the farmers market. It was the biggest farmers market we used to go. You get ribs. You get ribs on the street, and like
you get ribs, tri-tip, and then
linguiça usually.
Oh God! And you just sit in a gutter and you just eat that.
I sat on the side,
and you watch the puppet show. Puppet Man. Grandma dated the Puppet Man.
What?
Creepy. There's like a puppet show that's been going on there forever.
I would never sleep again if anyone in my family was dating someone one called The Puppet.
The Puppet Man.
The Puppet Man. He does like real slapstick humor puppet show where like they throw a baby out with the bathwater. It's pretty amazing.
And then he watches you while you sleep.
Yeah, and then he watches you. And then he takes your grandma out to dinner because grandma got married 7 times. She was a fun lady. So Santa Maria style, it's the Oakwood barbecue pit, amazing, and then it's garlic, oregano, salt, pepper, dry rub, and you do it over ribs, you do it over tri-tip, and then if you have tri-tip sandwich, this tri-tip sandwich you can barely get it in the 805 anymore because they're accommodating tourists that want barbecue sauce, but a tri-tip sandwich I grew up with is a no sauce situation unless it is salsa, and preferably paste picante because we're monsters, and then you put a French roll, heavily buttered, just put it right on the grill, tri-tip, salsa, live your day. And that is right now in Santa Maria, there's for sure a Mexican backyard barbecue happening right now where they're serving that.
Yeah, that's Santa Maria barbecue is like the most underrated barbecue. Like barbecue episode. Shout out to Craig Holzer at King's Brother Barbecue.
King's Barbecue.
Yeah, but I did sing the
Atlanta, GA. I'll see you guys. I'm doing Joe Pettis' show down there on the 24th. Come see me, April 24th.
Yeah, but I sang the praises of it because it's fantastic. It's
Thank you.
good.
Thank you. It's different. It's not fall off the bone barbecue. It's not. If you're gonna, and the tri-tip has to be cut just so, or you're gonna be like, it's gonna be like shoe leather.
Yeah.
So I can understand why some folks are a little turned off by that.
Yeah.
But I someday I have to, because I want to love barbecue sauce. I really do.
It's not necessary.
If it's done correctly, like brisket.
Well, at least try the first 3 bites, no sauce.
Yeah.
That was the rule in my house because my not barbecue sauce, always like salsa or Tabasco or something. My dad always put hot sauce on things. But the thing is like, if I had known that you didn't just eat T-bone steaks and, inch thick pork chops just on the regs growing up. Yeah. I just thought that was just how people ate. I didn't know that I was eating like a queen. And so I would take it for granted, and I would definitely put like hot sauce on it and stuff, or A1. Like I got a weird boner for A1 when I was a kid.
Yeah,
but it was just sort of like a well done, like a not well done, but like a well grilled rare meat of any kind,
right?
Or barbecue, because that's your slower roast situation. So I mean I appreciate all the meats is what I'm saying, but I just wanted to represent for the 805 because I was like, how do they not know? How do they not know we do have good grilling out here?
I feel like I might have talked some shit about California barbecue on that episode.
For sure you did. I remembered it. I was like, it's a good thing I really like rivers.
Well, I've since visited some places.
Yeah, because Slow's the place to do it. Did you go to next time you're up there? Go to Jocko's. That's where the locals eat.
That may be what I had. It was like a big.
It was the Jocko's truck.
So what happened was I went up to
Jocko's is quite quality.
That street fair has been going on since before street fairs were like a big thing in California.
Really? See, I didn't know what I'd stumbled upon. Like I went up. I went up to Morro.
That's the thing. You went to Morro Bay?
I went to Morro Bay just because I had a day off and I wanted to go take some pictures.
Yo, barbecued oysters, Dockside 2.
Ooh,
next time you go, I'm gonna send you a list of places to eat. Holy shit.
Okay.
Oh my god.
But I went up to Morro Bay just to take some pictures, and then on the way back, I was literally like just cruising along. I was like, I'm kind of hungry, and I was like, oh, SLO, that's probably got something to eat. And I pulled into like the downtown area, and it was all closed off, and there was this giant. There was like a giant like street festival going on, so I pulled over and just kind of walked around, and I found it, and
because it's more than a farmer's market. They call it the farmer's market, but it's more because there's bands and
there's like all kinds
entertainment
of stuff
for children. Puppet Man, shout out to Puppet Man.
There's all the local stand-ups handing out flyers for the Slow Comedy Festival too.
Yeah, which is real great. By the way, I'm just gonna next year when I apply to that festival, I'm just gonna send in my bio. I was born there, and the only thing that's important to my grandmother is stuff that happens in San Luis Obispo. She is 87 years old, so you have to book me on this thing, or she'll be sad.
If you don't book me, it will kill her.
It will kill her.
You're gonna kill an old lady if you don't book me.
Yeah, you're gonna kill an old lady who's been a therapist up there for 1,000 years, so she probably knows all your garbage. So it's like
she'll blackball you like Scientology. Just come out with all the audits, publish them in the SLO papers.
Jalapeno Maria. it's so good to see ya. Jalapeno Maria, it's so good to be here. Jalapeno Maria, oh, it's so good to see ya. Jalapeno Maria, it's so good to be here.
Are you the gentleman who is a black belt?
Yes.
Let's talk.
Yeah.
karate. Let's talk karate.
So I guess.
Let's talk karate. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
he's here.
Oh my god.
I would have never. Okay, so you're not.
You're smelling good, Mr. Goodnight.
Always smell good.
How was the Medi-Cal clinic? I just went a couple weeks ago. I want to talk with you
Which
about
one
that.
did you go to?
I went to Valley Care out in Sylmar. It's like the middle of nowhere.
I go to the one that's actually for developmentally
Here, hold on to that
disabled people.
Here.
Are you developmentally disabled?
No, but they take my insurance, so there's a lot of Medi-Cal people that go there.
Love it.
Oh, Mr. Good, I'm into the hour. Tower of Power. Tower of Health. Too sweet to be sour.
Picture of health, Daddy.
Picture of health. And a sexy picture it is, too. But I get a nice Jewish doctor, and they do me all right. My blood pressure was a little up today, which I'm pissed about. So
Oh my god.
probably still up.
Was this just a regular physical
This is my blood pressure. I go for my blood
for
pressure.
your blood pressure?
Yeah.
I went because they put my IUD in wrong, and then my body rejected it.
Oh God.
Oh, what?
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Oh.
That's
Yeah,
something. That's,
they didn't do it. Planned Parenthood put it in wrong.
We still love you, Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, I love you, Planned Parenthood. The fact that I haven't sued you guys means that, like, I love you so hard.
you think they would put like this end up on the things before they put them in or something?
You would think. No, well, the problem was they couldn't find the right end in me. So they put it in, like,
In
the
your
wrong
mouth or something?
Yeah, I asked her. I was like, "Is it in my asshole? What's going on? How did you guys fuck that up?" But yeah, I had to go in there and get it removed and get it rerouted and the whole thing. But I love me some Valley Care, and plus I'm
Despite that.
well, they didn't do that. It was Planned Parenthood. They fixed
okay.
it, but they also gave me a ration of shit for not having kids yet. That was the really funny part. She was like, "Are you planning on having kids?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it between now and 40." And she said, "No, you won't. You're gonna have a kid with Down syndrome." I was like, "Fuck, this got real."
I swear, man, it's the doctor's job to give you shit about stuff you didn't come in there for.
I know.
Because like I come into blood pressure and everything is when are you gonna quit smoking? When are you gonna quit smoking? I should just tell them, unlike an idiot, that I don't smoke or something, so they won't give me a hard time about it.
Well, the quitting smoking thing is pretty important, though, right?
No.
Where have you been all my comedy life? How have I not met I've just met Rivers just recently, and all of you guys, like, how have we not just been eating meat and sweating, hanging out,
I'm
talking shit?
Super down whenever.
Oh my God. You were just a sleeveless t-shirt of a man. I love it.
Hey, well, I got one on under this.
I know, right?
It's good for the weather. You know?
Oh my God.
So
this is fantastic.
we're just about to go into the martial arts, and we have
talk
a gong fu
Oh yeah, that's
master
true.
right
True
here.
martial arts expert. That's good. You got a black belt too.
I do. I have a second-degree black belt
Okay.
in Wei Chu Ryu. It's like a it's like a
you had to fight some dudes, right?
I'd fight dudes, yeah.
That's so awesome.
So it's a super small organization in California. We're bigger on the East Coast. And so there's like just a few guys. And I wandered into a rec center because here's the deal. Slow kickboxing, where Chuck Liddell trains, is like $200 a month in like 2001.
Whoa.
And I was working at a pet store.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I can't afford that. So I go up to this recreation center in Morro Bay, and I stumble in first to an Aikido class. It's very interesting. It's a little on the what we call the purple smoke side. So
Well, I mean,
a lot of
Good Swedish
feeling-
meatballs at Aikido.
It has. It's already the best martial art because Steven Seagal's
Steven
like
Seagal.
the grandmaster of Aikido. Apparently,
It's interesting. Like, I can do those rolls and I can do some of the break falls and stuff. And occasionally, like, I'll see a movie and I'll see like a Kotegaesh or something. And like, I think it was the third Bourne movie. I was like, oh fuck, I could do that. So here's the thing. Like, I Aikido for about a year, and next door there was this class full of 6-foot-tall dudes that were just beating the shit out of each other, and I was like, that's what I want to do. And the guys were great. They were very nice. It was a good introduction. I moved over to the class that was literally happening next door 5 minutes after that class, and with Sensei Steve Goss up in Morro Bay. And what I didn't know is that he was the head of our organization for the West Coast, and so his senseis were in Japan. So I was getting some very
Oh, so he's legitimate. Yeah,
he's legit, and he goes
because
every
he
2 years. He goes, and the whole
fights in the Kumite.
No. Yeah. Oh my God, that was my.
Whoa,
dad's
is your sensei the monkey guy?
No, he was a really cool dude, and we went to
because
shout out to Bloodsport. That was my dad's favorite movie. I've seen that movie like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I loved it.
You're the American dickhead that does tricks with bricks.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I started training, and it was funny because my boyfriend and I were both training at the same time, and he's this like tall, half Japanese, like graceful, but he moves like a ballerina, and I just move like a little tank. That what they did is they put me against the biggest guys in the class for my first 2 years because they didn't want me to be afraid of anyone.
You're like the China of martial arts.
Oh, that's a high compliment. I don't know anything about her other than one of her boobs exploded that one time.
I don't remember that.
Didn't she? Yeah, she had a. She had
during a match.
Yeah, during a match.
Yeah.
Wow. But I know that I'll take it.
She was in the audience once when I was in a belly room.
Weird.
Yeah.
She passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was only like less than a year before that.
Wow.
Oh, was she okay? Was she on?
Yeah, she was
loaded
fine.
or no?
No, she was fine. She was a little bit aloof, and I was surprised she wasn't taller.
I'm sure a lot of people were probably super losing their minds that she was there because comedians love pro wrestling in a way that I don't hate on it because I love it when people just like love a thing when they're just super enthusiastic, but I don't quite understand it.
It's staggering.
But I'm like an anime fan, so who am I to judge?
Yeah. It's
Like I was an anime fan with a Japanese boyfriend and I trained in martial arts for 11 years. Like I'm a fucking nerd Japanophile, so I have no way to judge that.
Oh yeah, I mean it's staggering how big of wrestling fans, us included, that stand-up comedians, people that do stand-up comedy tend to be, and it's just
we went and saw some local indie wrestling yesterday. Pat and I did, and the referee is a comedian and the announcer is a comedian. Shout out to Eddie Firth and and shout out to Johnny LaQuasto on the mic.
Oh man,
I was gonna ask you about the competitions and stuff like that.
Okay, so
did you spar against men mostly, or was it there was enough that you could kind of gender segregate it?
It all depends on the type of tournament. So if you're going to an all Okinawan tournament in the 20 to 30 age range, or even 30 and above age range, at my rank, there's like 3 women and they're all beat up.
And they're all Okinawans, right?
I've not in California mostly.
Is Okinawa a form?
Yeah, all Okinawa.
Yeah, come on.
So from
Larry Zabisco, Okinawan, karate.
I do kung fu, not that karate stuff.
Well, you'll like this. Okay, so you'll like this explanation. So here's the thing. So what happened was the Japanese come in to invade the Ryukyus, right? So that little chain of islands off the
during World War II.
During World War II, so they come in and they invade, and a bunch of guys just defect and they go to China and they just start hanging out with different kung fu people out in China. So there's this guy named Kambun Weichi, and he goes over there and he gets embedded with this group of people called the Pangai Noon.
I think I might have heard of this.
Which is a type of kung fu, but it's really not like it's sort of, they're kind of a little bit of a terrorist cell. Like they're not a group, they're like Chinese street boxing is mostly what it is. So it's a lot of nekawachi dachi. Oh my God, my Japanese has gotten bad. And so
sure, yeah.
So like it's a lot of like pigeon-toed sort of stances where you're closing your body in. It's a lot of circular techniques. So like circle blocks, wax on, wax off.
I was just about to say that as a joke because I don't know anything.
When I teach a block, I teach it from like we're literally going to wax on, wax off.
Oh,
and
wow.
We'll do it to a wall just over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And eventually you advance past that because you realize that the circle's actually kind of tilting a little bit. So what he learns Pangai Noon, takes it back, can't go back to Okinawa. originally. And a lot of these guys who went and learned Kung Fu in China, they go over to mainland Japan and they start hanging out with people who do Kendo and do Iaido and all that stuff. And they teach them what they know. And that's how you get Shotokan. So then they come over to Okinawa and they start sort of training. And literally, if you take a map of Okinawa, you can see where Uechi-ryu is popular in a little province. You can see where Goju-ryu, which is our sister style, is really popular. And then you can see where Shiharu or Shitaru, and they're all kind of in this little cluster, and they do very similar kicks, very similar blocks. Goju, the difference is Uechi's a little more fluid, and because Pangai Noon means half hard, half soft. And the joke was, especially on the West Coast, is unless you train with Sensei Goss, and then it's half hard, because we were just really into hard conditioning, like hitting each other with the best conditioning tool for your shins is a bowling pin. It's the best. Okay. Bounces off perfectly.
I'm gonna get me a bowling pin
after
my
this
gosh.
and go nuts. That's like the high. Like when you go to a dojo and they have like 3 bowling pins, you're like, yeah.
Can you use a candle pin like New England style bowling on your knees?
Probably.
Wait, do you get hit with a bowling pin?
Yeah. So you would
so you like kneel down on it, or
to strengthen
your shins.
Your shins. So the same way that
Muay Thai fighters get whacked in the shins with like a kendo stick.
You need to
take
bumps. You never had to do that thing where you take your fingers and hit them iron balls with it?
No, what?
Yeah.
To strengthen your fingers.
So
did everyone else go on like a karate vision quest that I just missed out on?
You did.
You have to be able to take the
you have to see the Karate Vision quest in the 90s is amazing.
I'm going to find this video.
I didn't follow the girl with the kite down the alleyway to the secret world that takes you to the Mortal Kombat outer realm.
Yeah, what
you should have, man. The fatality.
You go into the janitor closet at a rec center and you drink a bunch of Mountain Dew, and then they blast the theme music for Mortal Kombat, the movie, and they're like, "Are you ready? Test your might." And then you start the Karate Vision quest.
They asked me if I was ready, and I said no, so I didn't get any of this training.
Well, you're lucky you could have had your spine ripped out of Sub-Zero or something like that was there.
Before I started stand-up, I was actually saving money and training to test for my 3rd degree black belt in Japan.
Hell yeah.
So I could teach.
Why come you didn't just do that? I'm not insulting stand-up, but that's the dream, isn't it?
I went to my first open mic, and I was like, oh, this is the thing I've been looking for. So this
more
is
than karate.
So you take off your gi top and you walk out, you bow. It's all that's actually Sensei Goss in the background. There you go. And you get into your stance and you hold the stance. And I'm a brand new black belt, and he is, you can see me, I'm on the other side of that shirtless dude.
Oh, so he just comes out and just beats the shit out of your arms?
Yeah.
Yeah, to see if you're holding your form correctly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's a...
Damn.
Yeah, it's actually a good narration.
Yeah.
But this auditorium was super loud with screaming kids, and we started doing this, and it gets quiet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we thought we were going to do a demonstration for the judges so they knew how to judge us, because no one ever knows how to judge these smaller groups in competitions.
Yeah.
And so, and that's how I end up fighting like Kempo dudes in small tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
So they don't know what to make of this, because now he's literally hitting my solar plexus at this point, and my stomach.
Because the whole point is if you're holding a stance correctly, if you're getting pushed or if you're getting hit, you have the proper balance and the proper weight distribution. So if somebody hits you, like kind of jabs you right in the middle of the chest, you'll move a little bit, but you'll maintain your balance.
What I've gotten out of it is like I've plowed through like furniture or fallen and stuff, and I've been fine, just because like I'm just like whatever, it's
so
fine.
This training really just prepares you to get to the bathroom in the middle of the night.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, and you can see
I can walk over any Lego.
Yeah, exactly. You can bounce into any furniture as long as you hit it the right way and Kia when you do it. You're good.
Well, and Weichi doesn't
the table stubs its toe.
Weichi doesn't do kiosks.
Yeah, which I I always thought it was stupid when I did
It's the stupidest
stuff where you're just like, hit the punch and go, ah!
Now,
But when I taught little kids, that's the only time in which it was cool.
Oh, you taught little kids too. Oh
because
my God,
it's like,
so fun.
yeah, when you teach little kids, you tell them fighting stance, and their idea of fighting stance isn't like put up your dukes. It's they take their fists and they ball their fist ups and they just put them right next to their cheeks.
So cute.
And they just do little kicks like that, and they're like, ah, you know, like
What is that, Macaulay Culkin style?
Yeah, I don't, like 3-year-olds. It's like their idea.
They're so cute.
Yeah,
The
they
little
just do
kids.
little kicks, and they like just the tiniest little kicks ever, and they always make sure that their fists are balled up and right next to their
they're
cheeks.
so cute.
It's so cute. It's
and then
adorable.
they fall over when you're stretching. They just
Yeah.
fall. Like, they just fall all the time.
Yeah.
They're the funniest little things.
Little dragons and tiny tigers, baby.
Yeah.
That's how they roll.
They're so funny.
Yeah.
So,
Tiny tigers.
but when we
Tiny
did that-
tigers.
when we did that demonstration, I actually didn't do well. The first time I went to that tournament, I was a green belt, and I didn't do well in the tournament sparring wise. And before I had medaled, the first time I had been there, I had medaled. However, I was walking around all day, and people were just like, hey, like, oh, you're, because there was a moment in the middle of it. It's this quiet gymnasium, and I turn, and you hear this kid go, oh my God, that's a girl. They're beating a girl.
No, I mean that's always it's always funny because it's like
How long did you train for? What did you train in?
I was in the one that always gets bullied by all the true martial artists, Taekwondo.
You know what? I respect Taekwondo.
It gets bullied because it does have the whole McDonald's sort of spread, McDojo
yeah.
sort of thing, and just a lot of guys with Mr. Chuck, master of Taekwondo. You know, it's just like kind of that thing as to why the Walsh brothers called it the World Taekwondo Headquarters and stuff like that. It's like that's kind of like it's just kind of the joke martial art, even though it's like an Olympic sport and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like the Olympic one is essentially just like fencing with your feet and hands. Like it's just like points and stuff like
That's
that. where
point
just
It's
like,
going to be about
Yeah.
contact and kicking ass.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if there's no pain, then it's not really a martial art.
See, I want to break a toe. I've broken all my
Exactly.
toes.
Me too.
I want to
I've broken all my toes as well.
Even better, those breaking other people's. That should be the point. Breaking heads and busting bodies.
I once saw a kid break his foot by kicking somebody in the head real hard, and we kept calling that kid Ironhead for years because he just broke his foot on someone's face.
That's
we were like,
awesome.
You need to condition everything. What's wrong with you, brittle bones? We
Yeah,
just made fun of him.
that's awesome. No, that's awesome. That is so cool. Yeah.
You don't break the bone you're kicking at, go home.
Yeah.
Go home.
The guy that was my first teacher was a former Green Beret. So I think he just like got into it so he could like beat people up and wear a gi doing it and have it be socially acceptable. You know, just
Right.
socially acceptable to just like wear a gi out at the store, you know?
That's so funny.
But he was
You'd
one
be
of
a
those
fighting Elvis impersonator.
he was
or
like
something.
he would go to tournaments just to spar. He didn't give a shit about forms. Like he didn't care about doing the forms. So he would go up there and he'd do he would spar, and then when he'd do the form, there was one tournament, I think it was the national tournament, where they were like, all right, it's time for you to do your forms. And he did the first 3 moves, and he just started breaking into like breaking electric tube boogaloo and just started breakdancing for 2 minutes.
That's
and then
so
finished
funny.
and then bowed and then just pieced out because he
That's
just was
so-
there for the
Well,
sparring.
because the judges never know what they're looking at. They only know their own style, and so it's kind of granted in California's WKF sort of society, and like over in all Okinawan Association, they've gotten really good at knowing each other's forms, which is great. There's a lot of efforts, but in general, you're just kind of looking at where people place their feet and whether or not it's a clean kick. So you kind of have to adjust the way that we spar and the way that we do forms for tournaments. But at the end of the day, like a really good Shotokan, because they have such pretty long forms. Our little short, just beat up a guy in a hut forms never really.
Beat a guy up in Jim Morrison's fuck
Fuck
wall.
hut.
Here's the thing about martial arts and things. Form and things like that. This is why I like gung fu better than karate. Form and all that
adorable.
stuff, if it don't kick ass on the streets of Buggy Street in Singapore, then it ain't worth shit.
That's true. That's true. I mean, one of the things that we really worked on was, because I'm passionate about teaching women and passionate about teaching kids, was there was my sensei was like, I'm going to teach you like 3 things that'll always get you out of trouble. And it was just him, and he's a big guy. You can see him in the video. It was just him rushing me and me practicing putting my fingers in people's eyes.
Yeah.
Just
Headbutt to the nose is always the good way to go.
Just hands in someone's. Once you do this, you're in control.
Yeah.
Like even if you don't even have your hand like appropriately, or that, once you're in their eye sockets, you're
Like the iron claw.
Or ears. Grab an ear. Because you can rip an ear off very easily.
And the testicles. So many testicle shots.
Yeah. Knees right in the point of the knee, especially if somebody's like standing and they're not full. You just boom, like
Just
stomp them right in the knee. Because the thing is that like that's the whole thing. Like somebody's stomp is stronger than you think. Like if you yourself are at home and you just give yourself a good old stomp on the ground, you could do some serious damage. And if you put it right on the top of someone's foot, if they're wearing sandals, or if you do it right in someone's knee, game over.
See how easy it is? People less than to kick somebody's ass, even if you don't know a martial art?
Exactly. There's a few moves, and they teach them in model mugging. They teach them in women's self-defense classes. Like a palm heel strike is a really effective strike, especially for women.
More so than a punch.
Yeah, because
if you get into a fight, if you fight with your hands open, you don't risk breaking your knuckles, and you get just as much power.
Yeah.
If you hit somebody, especially even backhand, like backhand, you hit somebody.
Well, and the trick is to teach women to get into their bodies and to recognize that because our hips are lower, because we have a lower center of gravity, we can kick harder and we can punch faster.
Yeah.
Once you learn how to move that sort of fulcrum in the middle of your body, you can actually, because guys, they tend to front load, they tend to get really tense in their shoulders.
Top heavy.
They get real top heavy and they want to box. And as long as we stay relaxed and stay over the bowl of our hips and then just swing from that sphere, you're going to be just fine.
The thing with women's self-defense, if any indication of my sparring experience, just be a woman. Because whenever I sparred girls when I was a kid, I would just like...
Oh, my girls were vicious.
The first time I did it, like I was raised in a house where it's like you never hit a girl, and I'm like, I'm 10. So I have to spar this one girl, Lena, who kicked ass. Like, she was just like mean and like black belt real, and I like almost started crying. I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like I'm gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, well, and
she whooped my
and she
ass.
was probably mad at you because I've literally so my first black belt test. So our whole black belt test thing takes like 4 days.
But I'm 10. Like I just don't know how to.
I don't fight women myself because when I go in, I fight to break things, and I don't like to break women's bones.
See, I like
it's
that.
It's uncivilized.
We could have a good time, man.
Yeah, as long as we ain't fighting, because that just wouldn't be civilized.
But the thing is like, okay, so I started training when I was 20, so I didn't get the experience of like kids training, and we didn't even train kids for a really long time in our association. So when I did my first black belt test, it's like all of these dudes, and it was funny. We had a Russian, we had a Japanese guy, and then it was me. And so
freaking globalism,
man. And so you've got us all. You go up in front of the test board, and the test really starts the moment you get there because you do all these training seminars before the last test. So it's like you do all these like everyone's getting together to like kind of check in and retune before they go back to their respective cities in California and teach. So there's all these seminars and workshops happening, and everyone's watching you because they know you're going to test. So everyone's watching you, and the whole time I can't get this Russian and I can't get this Japanese guy to really fight me. And my sensei pulls him aside and he says, "Listen, if you don't start treating her like a weichika, like if you don't start treating her like just one of the guys, I'm gonna let her kick your fucking ass."
Yeah,
she's holding back, but she's very frustrated. You need to treat her with some respect. And so we go through the whole thing, and finally they kind of step it up a little. They start to make contact, which is great. And so we're doing the whole thing, and I get into the test portion, the last portion. So you do your sanshin. You've got that. So you've got a hard test. Then you do your testing kata, which is, at that time, it was seisan, which you saw. And then we get into like various drills. And then we do a conditioning exercise where you just kicking and hitting each other. And then you do 3 minutes of continuous sparring. And I'm partnered with the little Japanese kid, and he's super nice, very sweet, clearly afraid to make contact with me, doesn't want to hurt me. And I'm bullying him around this. I am bullying him around the ring. I'm pushing him out. I'm punching at him. I'm dominating the match.
Right.
Until the last 30 seconds. They go 30 seconds. And I drop my hands because I've gotten too confident, and I got kicked in the head and knocked the fuck out at my own black belt test.
That's right, man. Well, it's better to be defeated by that than a board.
I know, right? So funny.
Yeah.
And I woke up, and my sensei's behind me, and he's like, "You all right?" And I was like, "I'm fine." So that was it. Was like I got this dumb black belt and a concussion. That was great.
Well, I was going to say, at least if you're going to go down, you got knocked the fuck out.
Oh, it was so funny. It was the funniest.
It's not
thing.
a broken toe. It's an actual concussion.
It was a real thing.
She's the most interesting woman in the world. Anna, where can people find you on the internet?
Oh my gosh, you can find me at Anna with 2 N's. Anna V is fun on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me at my website, AnnaValenzuela.com, where you can see shows and stuff. I will be on the 24th out in Hemet headlining a bar
Hemet
gig
shows
for the first time.
Is it going to be fighting?
Maybe. I heard there's like a weird sort of like a Mexican concert hall next door. So we're going to be doing stand up over the sound of a quinceañera.
All right.
It's going to
Awesome.
be fun. Hopefully I can get some hot tape.
And if you're in LA, maybe you'll see her
Roast battle.
Roast battle. Oh,
Because
yeah.
she can't just kick your ass with her fists. She can also kick
she
your
can
ass
destroy
with
you.
your wits.
Yeah, well, that was the thing is the karate thing directly translated into my doing roast battle. I love it. I love the competition, and I do it like I'm training for a tournament. So I get real intense. And you can catch me on April 18th. I will be roast battling Quentin Muscatello.
Okay.
And he's coming out from the East Coast. So I...
LA. All right. East Coast, West
LA.
Coast.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Represent.
West
Look
Coast
out.
represent.
Listen, if you listen to this and you're a roast battler in New York, I want to fight your ass. I didn't get enough, which is Evan Williams. I want to fight all you motherfuckers.
I've had too much Evan Williams before, so don't discount Evan Williams. All right,
Especially the green label.
Yeah. So, oh my God.
All right.
Yeah, I definitely tapped out to Evan Williams a couple of times. Yeah.
All right. Well, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/thegoodspod. We're on Twitter @thegoodspod. Pat, what should they do when they get to iTunes, my friend?
Rate, review, and subscribe. Tell a friend, because that
This is a great
gesture,
podcast,
those
guys.
4 or
like it.
5 gestures show the attitude of gratitude.
And if y'all don't have the attitude of gratitude, then just fuck you, brother.
All right. Thank you so much for checking out this week's episode of the show. Next week, we got our friend Ron Babcock coming back to the show. He is one of my favorite comics. Ron has a brand new record coming out on March 30th. It's called This Guy, and I wanted to let everybody know you can pre-order it right now on iTunes or on his website, ronbabcock.com. If you guys want to delve back into the archives, one of my favorite episodes we've done of the show is episode 57, Bins It Like Babcock, where Ron talks about his crazy cross-country adventures in his beige vintage Mercedes. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, go back and check out episode 57. A couple quick announcements. April 22nd, I'll be hosting the Waverly Boogie. That's a big music festival down there in Alabama. So come out to Standard Deluxe in Waverly, Alabama. And it's a good old time. You can get tickets at standarddeluxe.com. April 24th, I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia at Sweetwater Brewing Company. That show starts at 7 o'clock. And then a couple hours later, I'll be in Midtown over at the Laughing Skull Lounge. That show starts at 9 p.m. So come see me, Atlanta. And the next night, Central Alabama headed your way, April 25th. I'm in Montgomery, Alabama at a place called Head on the Door. That's Kurt Keller's show over there. I'm real excited to see everybody in Montgomery. That show is at 9 o'clock on Vaughn Road. So come see me at Head on the Door, Montgomery. Song of the week this week. This is my good friend, Johnny Mose. He's an author and a musician. You can actually go back in the archives and hear him on episode 72, Magic City's Finest. He's been working on a bunch of new stuff down there in Charlotte. He's trying to put together a record, and he sent me this song, and I just think it's absolutely brilliant. I heard an early version of this one a few years ago, and it's turned out to be fairly prescient. You'll see what I mean. Find Johnny Mose on Twitter @JMose. That's JAYMOZE. This song is called Assholes from Alabama, and we'll see you next week.
I heard that Jimmy Buffett done made a living off tequila and cocaine. Selling phonograph records just as big as the moon in the sky. Now I sell my soul to the devil to be able to afford me some road game. But now I'm thinking maybe I should just go down to Fish River and get real high. I believe that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm calling Jimmy Buffett, gonna see if he can give me a number of a man who lives down at the crossroads by the light of the moon. And it's my pride burning crimson and white that flows through all the assholes down in Alabama. But you take what you can get when all you good is just to singing them privileged white boy blues. Hear me out now. Tripp's mansion in Georgia. And if I recollect correctly, I must say that he's an asshole too. No, I ain't trying to be unkind, I'm just picking a fight. Who knows him to this? This might be alright. Neither one's a philandering criminal like Robert Bentley, and shit, he isn't even our worst governor. So I'm calling out Wallace and Bob and Father Riley and Jeff Sessions, you're an asshole too. I cannot believe all the grief and oppression that you put us through. But it's my pride, so unsatisfied, just knowing that I can't do things my way. 'Cause if I could, then I wouldn't be sitting here drinking with you.
The Goods from the Woods was mixed, edited, and distributed by me, Rivers Langley. You can find the show on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Our theme song was composed by DJ Smiles. Check him out on Twitter at DJ Smiles.